Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 102. We're going to stick with the same theme that we had this morning, and that is our good friend, the moron, the bumbling prince, Prince Andrew. Earlier today, we had some pictures emerge of him hanging out with Bill Richardson in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it just so happens that I will be in Santa Fe, New Mexico in a few days. So, in that article, we learned that Prince Andrew was here for 3 days. Well, he was in Santa Fe for 3 days. And it is coming into question now where he stayed. And all evidence points to him staying at the Zorro Ranch. And Bill Richardson, for his part in all of this, has also been accused by Virginia Roberts. And for what he has to say for himself is, he only visited the ranch one time, and that one time was with his wife. I don't know if I believe that, because guess what? The governor's mansion is a mere 45 minutes away from Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch. So you mean to tell me this guy's donating as much money as Jeffrey Epstein donated to Bill Richardson, and he doesn't have access whenever he'd like, especially if he's just a mere 45-minute drive away from Epstein's ranch? Come on. I'm not buying that. And any of these journalists that are buying that, well, I don't know what to tell them. There's no digging going on, right? We need to see what the deal is. Why is it that the UK papers are breaking these stories? Where's the American legacy media? Where is the American legacy media, folks? What happened to the Gray Lady? What happened to the Washington Post? Talk about a fall from grace. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean everything that they do is bad, but their overwhelming majority of their body of work nowadays just doesn't pass muster. It's just not good work. And it all ties back into how the media has not really reported on the players in this case. And we're not talking about just pure speculation, right? We're talking about people mentioned in court documents. Have you heard the legacy media talk about the Dubins at all? Or the little 15-year-old Swedish girl? No, you haven't heard the legacy media talk about any of that, but this is all stuff that is in court documents from witnesses who have given testimony under oath, and we don't hear any of that in the legacy media. And it's sad. It's sad that they have devolved to such a place where they don't even really report the real news anymore. Everything that you see on TV or these programs, and it doesn't matter what channel we're talking about here, it's all about scoring political points against the other side, about, spiking the football for your tribe. And to be honest with you folks, I've had enough of it. I don't even watch TV anymore at this point, as far as like news or anything on network TV. But I don't watch any of that crap because it doesn't. They're not providing anything for me that I can't get myself. So I don't even bother with it. All right, folks, we're going to jump into this article, but first, if you'd like to contact me, you could do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. All right, like I said, the article is from The Sun. It was written by Thomas Burrows, and it was published on January 14th of 2020 at 2:59 p.m. The headline, Epstein Riddle. Prince Andrew cops refuse to reveal where his guards were on night he's accused of sex with teen. Well, that sounds like they're forthcoming, huh? That sounds like Prince Andrew certainly wants to help the authorities out. Couldn't Prince Andrew go to the cops and say, hey, release whatever you have to release. It'll vindicate me. I want you to release this stuff. I want it to be on the record that I was with the police officers. There's no way I could be doing this. If you had that sort of ammunition in your gun, wouldn't you fire it? Let's be real here, folks. During his car crash BBC interview, Andrew claimed he had taken his daughter, Princess Beatrice, to a Pizza Express in Woking on the night he is accused of sleeping with Virginia Roberts, an abuse victim of pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. However, the Metropolitan Police refused to provide details of Andrew's police bodyguard's movement on that day, March 10th, 2001. Why would, what is it? How could this possibly be a secure information, classified information? We're talking about 18 years ago. Unless somebody's going to hop into a time warp and go back and throttle this man like someone should have anyway, then what are they even worried about? Are you kidding me right now? This was 18 years ago. You're telling me you can't release where his guards were and what Andrew was doing that night? Why not? Why not? Wouldn't that vindicate him? Wouldn't that give the crown the vindication that they so desire? Well, here we are, folks. Here we are. They claim the information could put national security at risk and aid criminals. Oh, yeah, really? Now it's a national security risk, right? We can't out Prince Andrew. Are you kidding me? We can't tell you where he was. If we tell you that, we'll have to tell you about the weapons of mass destruction that were never in Iraq. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous on its face. They claim the information could put national security at risk and aid criminals. No, the only criminal that you're aiding is Prince Andrew at this point. Yeah, that's right. I said it. He's, according to Virginia Roberts, he's as big of a criminal and as big of a crook and as big as a piece of crap as we've ever seen, right? So it's giving aid to him if he doesn't, if they don't tell the authorities about his whereabouts. It could easily clear him, folks, or at the very least, give him a defense that's plausible, right? Oh, I don't sweat. My fingers are too fat. I don't wear that kit. Come on, none of that stuff is plausible. Responding to that, Professor Anthony Glees, an expert on security and intelligence, told the Mirror Online there are no conceivable national security implications. Whoa, is that the case, huh? No, really? Yeah, no kidding. This is certainly not a national security clearance issue. Okay? What this is, once again, is obfuscation and protection. All right? Now what's going on is the prince enabled Epstein, and the people that surround the prince are enabling him now. And not only enabling him, perhaps protecting him by engaging in a criminal cover-up, folks. If that's where we go, then all of these people that, these people that won't give out the records and all of this nonsense, well, isn't that a form of enabling? As a senior royal, Prince Andrew would have been given protection. There are no reasonable grounds for not confirming this. Agreed, 100%. Why wouldn't you just confirm it and say, look, this is the deal. We were with him that night. This did not go down. She is Virginia Roberts. She must be mistaken because it wasn't Prince Andrew that was there. If I was on his security detail and I knew that that was a fact, I would step up and be like, look, this isn't right. He didn't do that. But nobody has come forward and said that. All he's had is a bunch of his inner circle boot-licking lackeys come forward and talk about ridiculous claims of Photoshop and fat fingers, etc., etc. Graham Smith, who heads campaign group Republic, which wants to replace the monarchy with an elected head of state, told the newspaper their response is nonsense and it should be challenged. Yes, it should be. Yes, it should be. To those of you listening over in England, I'm pretty sure that, this is not the kind of news that you folks want to hear, right? I'm pretty sure that this gets you folks fired up as well, because I know a lot of folks over in England really, look at the monarchy as, okay, they're a figurehead, blah, 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 but they're just normal like everybody else. They're not above the law. So why should Prince Andrew be given the protection of his whereabouts not being disclosed, especially if it could add something to the case, right? At this point, is that something that they could even subpoena? I wonder if there's some sort of subpoena process to get that sort of information. I have no idea about English law, especially when it comes to something like that, folks, so that's just a question I'm asking. It is common knowledge that senior royals have police protection, as it is with the PM and some other government ministers. Revealing locations from 19 years ago cannot possibly reveal personal data either directly or indirectly. In my opinion, the police are keen not to risk embarrassing the royals. The police are tasked with protecting the royals from physical harm, not from legitimate inquiry, criminal investigation, or embarrassment. I hope this decision will be challenged as far as it needs to go. Well, yeah, right? Just because you're royal and you have that blood in your veins doesn't give you carte blanche. It doesn't say that you can do whatever you want and treat people however you want. It doesn't say that you can engage in sexual activity with an underage sex trafficking victim and walk away scot-clean with a bunch of BS excuses that you think people are just going to buy because you're the Queen's son. I'm sorry, but guess what? Nobody believes it. Nobody believes you. All right? Your interview was just slammed by everybody. It was universally slammed. Nobody thought you did a good job. All right? Nobody thought you were being truthful. Nobody. And for the police to not come forward, the people who were tasked with protecting him and should know where his whereabouts were due to their logbooks, well, why don't they come forward with those records? Let me guess. Those records, I'm going to go out on a limb here, folks. And again, look, I don't have any evidence for this statement I'm about to make, okay? But this is what I think. Maybe that evidence, the evidence of the logs, maybe that was erased just like the Jeffrey Epstein videotape was. What do you think the odds are that when all's said and done, it's going to come back and say that those records were purged and they don't exist anymore? I'm going to say there are pretty damn good odds that that's going to be the excuse. Do I have any evidence to back that up? No, that's all conjecture on my part, but I think there's a pretty good chance that that's what we see with those records as well. National security. Scotland Yard said sharing the information requested under the Freedom of Information rules could undermine the safeguarding of national security. They added it would allow those with a criminal intent to gain an operational advantage over the MPS and place those who the MPS have confirmed are afforded protection, as well as protection officers and members of the public at risk. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? So you can't tell people that he was not at Tramp nightclub that night? You can't tell people where he was 19 years ago because it's a national security risk? Really? Really? It's a national security risk. Okay. Buckingham Palace have been approached for a comment. The Duke of York faced a public backlash facing his disastrous BBC interview where he said he didn't regret his friendship with convicted sex offender Epstein. Of course he didn't, right? Two peas in a pod. Andrew was heavily criticized for showing a lack of empathy towards Epstein's victims. Why would he show empathy? Monsters don't have empathy. Monsters are only worried about satiating their needs and making sure that their public face never breaks. Making sure that nobody ever sees under the fake face that they wear in public. And I'm convinced that Prince Andrew is one of those sort of people. After everything we've read and all the stuff we've researched, the man is just a no-good person in my opinion. The Duke has only been seen in public a handful of times since the interview, and a large number of his major patronages have accepted his resignation, while others have cut ties with him. Last week, his private secretary, Amanda Thirsk, who was behind the decision to go ahead with the interview in November, agreed to quit. Yeah, you think? Talk about the worst advice Prince Andrew has gotten since the advice he received to hang out with Epstein. Talk about bad advice. Listening to this Miss Thirsk about doing this interview was an absolutely terrible and horrible calculation on his part. He should have listened to the other press secretary that walked out the second he got wind of it. That dude knew what was up. That dude was like, yeah, right, bro. I am not being associated with this absolute and utter train wreck. There is no way I'm putting my stamp of approval on this, Prince. If you want to do it, fine, but I'm cutting bait and I am out. Peace. That's pretty much what the other public affairs person did. It's understood Miss Thirsk, who was employed by the royal household for 15 years, received a payout worth tens of thousands of pounds. Was that from the royal treasury, or did the taxpayers pay that? I'm sure it was the taxpayers, because, taxpayers worldwide always shoulder the burden for the government's ideas. The Duke of York did not attend the summit at the Queen's Sandringham estate yesterday, where the Queen agreed to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's request to leave the royal family. Talk about a downright terrible 6 or 8 months for the royals, huh? And I don't know much about Meghan or Harry or why they're leaving, but that has to be rough on the Queen. And as much as I'm not a fan of the royal family, she is a very old woman. I don't like to see anybody have their family destroyed like that. But I have zero remorse about Andrew. I don't care if he destroyed their family. But the whole thing about Harry and Meghan, that's kind of, I don't know. I can't get involved in any of that stuff. I wouldn't know where to start with all of that royal gossip and whatnot. But this Prince Andrew stuff, this is the kind of thing where it's just beyond the pale. I don't even know how they can mention it in the same paragraph as what's going on with Harry and Meghan Markle, right? In a deeply personal and sad statement, she said she was entirely supportive of their bid to create a new life. But she emphasized that she and the rest of the royals, including Charles and William, wanted the couple to stay. Alrighty then, well there you go. That's what the Queen thought about Meghan and Harry. I know on this show we really don't give a hell about either of them. But the Prince Andrew stuff, this whole thing about the police not releasing the records of where he was that night, look, think about it, folks. If it was you and you knew that you were certainly not with a 17-year-old girl with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at some club, you would tell the police, all right, let's see it, bro. Let's get these records out there to public knowledge. I would call for an interview, the whole flip. I would do the whole thing, a presser. That's how important this stuff is. Look, your whole entire life has been ruined over this, Prince Andrew, because of your actions. Now, if you have evidence that proves that you weren't involved in this, then come forward with it or let the police release that evidence. But no, they won't. None of it will ever happen, and we'll just continue to ask, well, why didn't they release the evidence? Where's the evidence? We'll just continue to have to ask that because, again, this Prince Andrew character thinks he's above the law. So what's going to have to really happen is, he's not going to come forward on his own, and he's not going to tell the police to release these location charts, these location logs. So he's going to have to be subpoenaed at some point. That's going to be the only way anyone's ever going to get any questions answered from Prince Andrew. Either that or start busting some of the other people involved, and maybe they'll roll over on him. Because we know that's how this works in these kind of criminal enterprises. You bust the low-level operatives, and you break them, and you make them turn on the people above them by giving them lesser jail sentences. And if you slap a RICO charge on these people, the jail sentences will be so long that everybody and their mother will be looking to make a deal. All right? If they could break mafioso captains and drug cartel members with RICO cases and have them flipping and turning government's evidence, I'm pretty sure Adriana Ross or Leslie Groff would not stand a chance in the room. All right, folks, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. And if you would like to help support the podcast, you can click on the GoFundMe link in the description box. I'll be back tomorrow, and we're going to do it all over again as the countdown to Santa Fe truly kicks in. Catch you tomorrow, folks.